Welcome to Week in Horror.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
The podcast that deep dives all the films you love.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
The week they dropped in horror history.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
With your horror hosts, JL.
When a shirtless Sam Elliott with no mustache takes out an alligator with an oar, that's the kind of movie I'm looking for.
Eugene.
And we're just casually just like, yeah, so that's probably the best way to go, light someone on fire with gasoline.
Alex.
It would not be an original lineup if I didn't have fucking technical difficulty.
Johnny O.
Now, it's not an Amityville, or wherever, it's Amityville.
And Aaron.
They got manure to work with and nothing grew from it.
News, trailers, trivia, special guests, and more.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Live show every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central at youtube.com/weekinhorror.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
And wherever you listen to podcasts.
One by one, we will take you.
Week in Horror. Stay scared.
Welcome. I know you love that laugh. Welcome everyone. All you horror fans, it is Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. That means it's time for another episode of the Week in Horror podcast, the only podcast syndicated in Sunnydale, California. And if you, dear horror fanatic, are listening to us at the top of the week, remember, we do this live every Wednesday here on YouTube. You can join us, come into the live chat, hang out with us. This week, we are covering select horror films released November 27th through December 3rd.
Shut up! December 3rd, fuck off.
Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm JL. With me tonight is Johnny O.
I'm so angry that you said December 3rd.
Already.
Fuck.
It's the last one of the month. And of course, this is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving is tomorrow, even though vast majority of you out there will be listening to this on Sunday, post-Thanksgiving. This is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and so it's going to be, we get to knock out an episode before everything just goes absolutely batshit insane tomorrow, because it's going to be chaos.
I'm curious, how many people are going to have an argument? I want to know. Let me know what your argument plans are for. Because you know how they say it's not really Thanksgiving until somebody's had a fight?
Yes.
And it's usually mother-in-law versus wife, but every now and again it's father-in-law versus, or it's brother v brother. Who's having a fight tomorrow? Who knows it's coming? And I want to know who and why. Let me know. Curious.
So, Leanne. Well, first, before we jump into anything, first let me throw this up there, fam. There is our amazing Patreon banner for all of the incredible people that help us to make this show possible. We thank you also very much to all of our amazing patrons. So we appreciate that, and let's say hi before we dive into the stuff because there's a bunch of stuff to talk about before we dive into tonight's selections. And of course, I want to say hi to everybody and see who we have here. I see first in the chat was Travis Brown, one of our amazing patrons. Is good evening, horror fam. Happy scary giving Eve. Thank you so much, Travis. Appreciate that. Sarcasm is here. Good to see you. Ivy Gentry and Denova28 as well. Thank you so much for being here. I Heart Dogs is in the house. Woo! Just got here. Good to see I Heart Dogs. Leanne Richer, BQN, Week in Horror, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central. Thank you so much, Leanne, for the shout-out in your name. And Leanne says, hello. Good to see you, Leanne. Thanks so much for being here. Charlie Welch, the only man on the internet who never... Am I clipping a bit?
Okay, fucking hell. Have you never worked as a producer before? There's a reason why I sent it to you in private chat, so you don't tell everybody that Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry.
Your audio is clipping just a little. You're a
little
tad. Just a tad. Yeah.
Am I okay? Is it testing? Testing. I'm spiking. I'm spiking because I'm too loud. Is what you're saying?
No, you're clipping.
Okay, so that's a connection issue.
No. That's not a connection issue. That's an audio going over the zero threshold issue.
So I'm spiking is what I'm doing.
Fuck's sake.
Because it's spiking. It's going too high. It's over the threshold, so it's... Shut up. Okay. I Heart Dogs, good to see you. Says, hi there, Johnny O and JL. Says, no planned fights. That's good to hear. No planned fights. And we wish everybody a happy and safe Thanksgiving out there. Definitely
nobody plans to fight. We all know it's going to happen.
You try and anticipate one. So.
Yeah, exactly. I don't plan on fighting with my wife tomorrow. It's just going to happen. It's foregone conclusion. It will happen over some dumb shit. And she won't talk to me for an hour, and it'll be the most peaceful hour I've had. I mean, the most stressful hour in my life because she's not talking to me. Hey, Jesus Christ!
Did she throw at you a sandal?
Fucking hell, a chancla.
Oh, good to see. Jinju is here. It says there will be food comas. Yes, there will definitely be food comas. Enjoy that tryptophan poisoning while you can. Let me see. Genova28 says, my Thanksgivings are usually great, or at least I'm not part of an argument.
You know it's going to happen. You're the guy. Genova, you strike me as a guy that stirs a pot. You're like, hey, Mom. Guess what said about
he's like Yo Jimbo in the center, like say at the end of the table, working each side against each other.
You're the hype man. Ooh, did you hear that?
You gonna let him say that to you? What are you doing? Sarcasm is here. Says I have a right wing drunk uncle. If he shows, it is on.
See, he knows.
Yeah. Frayed Edges here says, hey, good to see you. Good to see you, Frayed Edges. And let me see. Oh, apparently I froze for a second, so I think it was a connection issue, is what it was. And then I was peeking. Oh, peeking is another. So my
but
it's another one. Yes.
In the audio engineer world, it's called clipping.
Cindy Johnson, good says good evening, Johnny O in jail. Good to see you, Cindy. Thanks so much for being here. And see, yes, Denova says yes, the instigator. Fantastic.
I knew it.
I need to drop my. Oh, okay, I got you.
Let me give you a chili. Yes.
We're gonna have so much fun. Sorry. For those who don't, that was an inside joke. But, I mean, yes. Oh, Travis Brown says, oh, yes, there will be blood from the Poultrygeist. There absolutely will. I did Poultrygeist or Thanksgiving, both of which are, permissible at Thanksgiving. So
Poultrygeist, I mean, it's not really a Thanksgiving movie, but you can watch it anytime you want because it's awesome.
He said, I missed chats. I didn't miss chats. Did I miss chats?
What chats?
I didn't miss anybody.
Tony Regime had one.
Tony Regime, did he? I'm so off right now.
That one.
That laugh sounds like my granddaughter. Oh.
Oh, no, I was talking about this one.
Oh, get ready for the horror that is Mariah Carey.
It's already started.
It's already begun.
Who was it who was talking about being at Mariah Carey's house and she'll just burst out in a fucking song? Who was it? I think it was Millie Bobby Brown was talking about how she was having dinner with Mariah Carey at her house. And Mariah Carey would just come around the fucking corner singing fucking songs and shit.
She's a singer,
Sure, I'm a guitar player, but I don't just like fucking whip around the.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Look.
Excuse me, I gotta go to the bathroom. Come out with the friggin' strat. I just had this laying here. I had something pop me up. I see Donnie does that is here. Good to see you. And of course, Angel Rivera as well. And Jinju says, hope the peeking had nothing to do with the turtle head.
Prairie dogging.
I'm getting all emotional. It's just the two of us, so tonight's show is going to be one of those.
Fucking rails.
It's going to be one of those shows. Oh, Dino says, don't offend me, Johnny.
I'm not offending you. I'm just calling. I calls it like I sees it.
Calls it like I sees it? Okay, so, well, welcome, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. Appreciate everybody. I know we're probably going to have some people popping in a little bit later on in the show, but thank you all so much for hanging out with us tonight. Now, first and foremost, on the agenda of stuff to talk about before we get into our films is, obviously, big event took place after 12 years. The Walking Dead has ended. The main series has ended.
Yeah. I don't really call it. It's like, I guess, I don't know. It's tough to talk about that because they had Fear of the Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's in its seventh, eighth season.
I think going into its 8th. I think.
Yeah. So that's still going, and their main characters that Morgan, who should have been dead years ago, but Lenny James is just so fucking awesome. How do you kill Lenny James? How do you kill Lenny James?
You don't kill Lenny James. That's the point.
But yeah, everyone talks about if Daryl Dixon dies, we riot. Like, okay, look, I get it. Norman Reedus, all you ladies, who's a thirst trap for you, and He's okay. He's not the greatest actor, but he's fun to watch. His character's okay. Lenny James is a gentleman's actor. That guy is one of the most underrated actors of his time.
Mm-hmm.
Everything he's in, he is amazing. He was in an episode of Lie to Me, and he made that episode.
Lenny James is solid. I loved him as Morgan. I loved him in season 1. I loved it when he popped in, when he was when he popped back and Rick and company ran into him again. Rick, Michonne, and Carl ran into him again, and then of course he moved over to, and then of course the episode where it was him and John Carroll Lynch.
That was a great.
That was one of the greatest episodes of Walking Dead ever.
Yes,
an amazing
Their dynamic
episode.
was so fucking on point. It was great. And then he moved over to the second
To Fear the Walking Dead, yeah.
The Walking Dead. And they were already talking about like the spin-offs that were going to happen.
So you've got obviously The Walking Dead, then you have Fear the Walking Dead, and then you have Walking Dead, The Walking Dead World Beyond. Then you had the web series,
right?
That one is there. That one only lasted 2 seasons. Yeah, that one was just essentially it was kind of like a filler thing, so we get a little bit more information leading into the stuff that's happening with Rick.
Yeah,
and then of course,
the Fear the Walking Dead was supposed to be like this is how it started, and they only spent like 2 episodes. And they jumped right into it, like the full fucking dive in. Like, come on, man, the build up. Now we're gonna do a time jump now to get to the. It's so stupid.
And then, of course, the web series, the little web mini series that took place on the submarine, that to explain how the sub and its crew wound up in Fear the Walking Dead. And then, of course, now that the primary series has ended, now we have 3 more shows coming after this in the kind of the Walking Dead universe, which will be Daryl Dixon's spin-off series, Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Lauren Cohen's series, Dead City, when they go to New York, and then of course the Rick and Michonne, the continuing adventures of Rick and Michonne as they try to find each other again. So
I thought those were going to be for the screen film.
I thought they were, yeah.
That was the thing with Rick with Andrew Lincoln. He was like, "Man, I don't want to do this anymore." I'm like, well, we can't kill you off. You're Rick. And Lincoln's like, "Yeah, but I don't want to do this show anymore." He's like, "What if we do it for movies?" And he's like, "Keep talking."
Aaron Reese is The Walking Dead. How haven't these guys rotted yet? Very good point there. And good to see you, Aaron Reese. Fantastic. So I see there's a lot of opinions on there. When people stopped watching, Sir Cab said he stopped watching after season 4. Tony Regime said The Walking Dead ended after series 1 for him. And then, of course, someone said they stopped watching at season 7. So I know, and yes, Frayed Edges, it was a comic book first, and it lasted quite a long while. I think it was a
174 or 177 issues.
Yeah, something like that. And so the series, the comic book series, and Kirkman ended the series, and then of course the series, the primary, the television series ended after that. And there's the Telltale game series, which added in even more, which I thought were fantastic games, which are available for download. So I thought it was It was just, I thought it went out on a good note, and I'm looking forward to obviously the continuing adventures of the characters that we love. It was a shame that Melissa McBride was not up for joining Daryl, for joining Norman Reedus on his spinoff show. So it'll just be Norman, because originally supposed to be Carol and Daryl. Which is kind of a bummer, but we're going to get
contract dispute there. I think they're going to figure it out. She's going to join.
Huh? We shall see. We shall definitely see. But we're going to get more Daryl, more Carol, more Daryl, more Negan, more Maggie, and of course more Michonne and Rick, because Rick had his triumphant return at the end of the series finale, which is pretty awesome.
Spoiler alert, dude!
Everybody's seen it at this point, man.
I haven't seen it.
It's this because if you don't care, you haven't seen it. But if you like The Walking Dead, everybody saw the series finale.
I didn't see any of this season. I wait till they come out on Netflix so I can watch them, because I don't pay for television. Although I think I could watch it on Tubi, actually.
I think it's on Netflix.
I know it'll be on Netflix like sometime next year, but
well, anyway. definitely let us know. See, there's a lot of opinions there in the live chat. Definitely let us know down in the comments below, or of course at weekinhorror@gmail.com, what your thoughts about The Walking Dead are now that the series, after 12 years, has finally come to an end. It's pretty much the end of an era, and then of course all of the upcoming spin-offs, if you're looking forward to a particular one, or if you think you're pretty much done with it, but we'd love to hear what you think, so definitely let us know. The second thing is Netflix today this Wednesday just dropped the new Wednesday series. So we
see
started.
what you did there, Netflix. I see what you did.
They dropped it on Wednesday. Of course they did. And so Angela and I started watching it, and we've only seen the first episode because we want to watch it together. And so I didn't want to watch ahead of her. So we've only seen the first episode, and we've seen obviously Jenna Ortega as Wednesday, and of course Catherine Zeta-Jones as Morticia, and Luis Guzman as Gomez, and then of course all the additional characters. Christina Ricci has come back for the series, playing the house matron, or I would say like the house matron for the girls section at the Nevermore Academy, and of course Gwendolyn Christie of Game of Thrones fame is playing the headmistress of the school.
Christina Ricci is very nice to look at.
That she is. She absolutely is.
Very nice to look at.
So
before anybody asks, no relation, not that I know of, anyways. So it's possible, but I seriously doubt it. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm looking forward to more. I thought it was a little weird for me. There was some dynamics because it's directed by Tim Burton, so it has that total Tim Burton feel. Mm-hmm. And there are some character dynamics that were a little strange for me. I was kind of like, well, that's odd but you have to remember that this is directed by Tim Burton. So this is Tim Burton's take on essentially Wednesday's kind of coming of age, where she's beyond Addams Family, or the Addams Family or Addams Family values, where essentially this is kind of like she's growing up, she's coming into her own identity, and of course she's very much combining the Wednesday mentality with the I'm a teenager and I don't want to be like my parents and I don't want them to, that whole kind of thing. Yeah. So there was some stuff in there I was kind of like, I could see this, I could agree with that, but ultimately I think it's going to be a fun romp. There's some really, really good moments in it, and even though I'm not really on the Jenna Ortega train like the entire horror genre is, I don't know why. She just doesn't strike me as kind of like, oh... She didn't hit me like Mia Goth did. Like Mia Goth is amazing, and that's why she has the Ty West trilogy going on with X and Pearl and Maxine that's coming out soon. So, but I don't know what it is. I'm not on the train, but I think she's going to do well in this series. Should be a lot of fun.
I mean, I don't know. I'll probably look at it once or twice. I don't have a whole lot of time to watch things, so it's got to be something that has. I don't know. There's something about it that just didn't like. Oh, I have to watch this shit. I got to check this shit out. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, that's kind of cool, I guess.
Well, I thought I thought your kids might want to see it.
They're not so much into Addams Family, believe it or not. They're I don't know. I guess I failed as a parent in that respect. They're like, hey, check this out. Look at this old black and white TV show and get my.
Well, no, I think you succeeded because you didn't show them the monsters.
I didn't show them that whatever the fuck that was that Rob Zombie put out. Looks like Nickelodeon meets CW meets Garbage Pail Kids or some shit.
It's not not great.
Golly.
We'll definitely take a look. I think the girls may like it. I think they may like it a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun. I've only seen the first episode, so I'm looking forward to where they go with it. So it should be interesting.
Yeah.
Next up is, have you had the time or have you seen any of Cabinet of Curiosities yet?
I have not.
You are failing.
I know. There's a lot of things on my list that people tell me that I need to see. Like, what was it, Barbarian? You got to watch that. I got to watch it. It's so good.
Yes.
And Eugene was like, dude, how come you haven't seen this? This is totally up your alley. Like, Eugene, what do you mean? How come I haven't seen it? You're standing with me damn near every time. So, yeah.
But he saw it.
I know. That's why I feel bad. Well, but he doesn't have 4 children. Okay.
Aaron Reese's slob zombie.
Oh,
it was not great. And then, of course, Denova says Raul Julia will always be my favorite Gomez. I will say that Luis Guzman is really solid, but Guzman kind of matches the original kind of stylization of Gomez. Whereas Raul Julia was more, debonair, had that more kind of debonair feel. But I like them both. I think they're both going to do it. It took a second for me to get past the perfection of Angelica Houston as Morticia. It took me a moment because whenever I think Morticia, all I see is Angelica Houston. She was
really good in the film.
She was perfection. That was the casting right there.
I don't know because what was her with the original Morticia? God, what was her name? I can't remember her name.
Oh, from the original series.
Yeah. Your name.
That was son of a bitch.
Carolyn
What was?
Jones.
Thank
Carolyn
you.
Jones. Yeah.
Thank you.
Fuck. I thought she was amazing. She had that perfect like kind of gothic dark look. Everything about her was. I'm not to say that. I need sleep. Not to say that her replacement was bad. It's just Carolyn Jones to me had that like real what's the word I'm looking for? Like sultry kind of way about her.
Mm-hmm.
Very playful, very like something about you that's piquing my interest as a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 41-year-old. But anyway, yeah, that's all I have to say.
Well,
that.
It took me a second to kind of like get behind Catherine Zeta-Jones. She has a different kind of energy than Angelica Houston does, and I thought Angelica Houston was magnificent in that role. And plus, her charisma or her chemistry across from Raul Julia, of course, who could not have good chemistry with Raul Julia? So
that's what made Angelica Houston really good in that role was Raul Julia.
Was the chemistry she had with Raul Julia?
Not to take anything away from her acting, but for me, like that was what was able to get me to say, "All right, Carolyn Jones, I can put you over here."
Well, it's also in her cadence and the way she speaks.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that she had this kind of like this dark gothic way of delivering her line, but in also kind of a sing-songy.
Yeah,
almost kind of like da da da. But the things she's saying are incredibly dark, and the actions that she's doing, like when she's waxing wistfully. Poetically in the arboretum while snipping the heads off roses like that.
Yeah, no, again, not to take anything away from Angelica Houston, I thought she was fantastic, but I think what really helped sell that was Raul Julia because he was more eccentric, he was more,
Isn't he a lady killer? Acquitted.
Freudian issues. She's not my mother. What's the matter with you?
DeNovo 28 says a sort of dark romantic aura.
Yeah,
absolutely. Which is like Uncle Knick-Knack's summer wardrobe, Uncle Knick-Knack's winter wardrobe, Uncle Knick-Knack.
Yeah.
So I just love the way she did that. But I think Wednesday is going to be solid. I've only seen the first episode. Can't wait to binge the rest of it. So it'll be a lot of fun. Aaron Reese says, Week in Horror. Angelica also had to be able to portray well with just her expression since she had so few lines. It's true. She emotes like a champion. She conveys, and like especially those moments when the camera's in on her and the light is across the eyes and she just has to...
Yeah. Look, Angelica Houston's a fantastic actress. She was in a movie called 50-50 with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Seth Rogen, where he's battling a spinal cancer, and she plays his mother, and she does a fantastic job of being that overprotective, kind of borderline intrusive mother, and she does a lot of it with her face and how she delivers it. Again, me saying that Raul Julia really sold it for me is in no way, shape, or form taking away from Angelica Houston's ability as an actress. I think she's a fantastic actress. I just thought that was a great pairing, a fantastic pairing.
I loved her.
Bad motherfucker too.
I loved her as Clara in Lonesome Dove. So that's when I think I was first aware of her. I loved her as her role as Clara in Lonesome Dove. But of course, recently we talked about on the show, the Disney horror film Watcher in the Woods that Betty Davis was in, the original one from the 80s that Betty Davis was in. In the remake that came out in 2017, Angelica Houston took over that role, and she did it. She brought she took that role and made it her own, but she brought a level of menace and a level of charm that I don't think Betty Davis could really encapsulate, because Betty Davis always has that kind of world weary kind of I've seen everything, and she's a very matter of fact, and that this is the way it is, and she had that kind of energy. She could the matronly energy, whereas Angelica Houston can be matronly, but she can also be vulnerable, which I thought was just wonderful. And Joshua Lee, Tish, that's French. I fucking love the two of them.
Yep.
Gotta mia.
Yep.
All right. So, since you haven't seen Cabinet of Curiosities yet, which is a black mark on your record, good sir,
I wear them.
get there eventually, and then Angelica Houston as the Grand Witch in 1990s, The Witches, the adaptation of Roald Dahl's film. Absolutely. Aaron Reese says, bullshit, Betty Davis is fucking terrifying. This is true. Betty Davis was terrifying. She could be terrifying. Whatever happened to Baby Jane, Hush Hush, I think Hush Hush, Sweet Charlotte, which we actually have coming up on the show in a few weeks. And then, of course, the Betty Davis eyes were not because they were beautiful, because they were, they were terrifying.
I'm not going to sleep for a week.
She hasn't slept for a week.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Talking about Thanksgiving plans, so let's just everybody's fighing.
Everyone's just gonna be fighting.
It's gonna be one giant fucking battle royale.
Just be chaos.
What are you doing? Are you guys gonna
We are staying here. We're not doing any traveling because Angela's got her family up here, and then of course, Travis Brown, Joan Crawford is more scary than Betty Davis. No wire hangers. Remember. Her eyebrows could strip away your flesh. Son of a bitch. But yeah, so just hanging out here, staying local, and spending time with Angela's family, with the in-laws. So
the outlaws, yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, we're doing our thing here.
At
the
OC.
Coming up, and yeah, we've got I don't know, half a fucking, I don't know what the hell is in there. We're gonna cook, so. It's going to be way too much food for far too many people, or far too few people, and we'll be eating turkey 17 different ways now until the end of time.
Fry it, boil it, saute it.
Turkey stew.
Turkey gumbo.
Turkey and sausage.
I look forward, this is what I love, is I look forward to turkey sandwiches. So turkey sandwiches after, but real simple. It's got to be turkey. It's got to be Himalayan salt.
Okay.
Himalayan salt, tomato, and damn well what's going on. What's going on last? And a little bit of olive oil mayo. So some olive oil mayo on the top one with some tomato, with some fresh tomato and some Himalayan salt. And turkey and slices and pieces of turkey. So yes, I look forward to 2 weeks of that after Thanksgiving. You can put your headphones back on, mayonnaise.
Oh, jeez.
Freight Edges says, I want to make a pecan pie. I'm looking forward to pecan pie. I'm looking forward to apple pie and, of course, pumpkin pie as well. And Aaron Reese says, surströmming? No, I will not be eating surströmming for Thanksgiving. No.
He doesn't want to have a repeat.
It didn't make me sick, I promise you.
Sure.
Denova28 says, I have made a plan to get as fat as I can and then shedding it all starting next year.
Yeah,
good to have a plan.
Now that my back is starting to get back in order, I'll be back in the gym. Jesus, how many backs can I fucking put in one spot?
Let's see. Joshua Lee says, I learned this week that people eat fruit, nuts, and meat. And people put fruit, nuts, and meat in stuffing. Go figure. They do. They absolutely do. And Cindy Johnson says, homemade mayo. Your what is this aversion? This unnatural phobic aversion to mayonnaise is just hilarious.
It's disgusting. Everything about it is nasty. The smell, the look, the taste, the sound. It's just gross.
It's just whipped gross. Fat. It's just whipped fat, man.
That description right there is terrible. Whoever sat down one day and said, you know what I should do? I should take some egg whites and some fat and just whip that shit together.
Whip it.
And put a little salt and a little bit of vinegar, and there you go.
Exactly. And Hellman's thumbs up. Miracle Whip. And I know that there's people out there that love Miracle Whip. No, because Miracle Whip is not mayonnaise. Miracle Whip is salad dressing. But why would you put that on a salad? When I have no idea. But Miracle Whip and mayonnaise is like equal and sweet and low. I would say Miracle Whip is like the sweet and low of condiments. It's just blech. It's just
So
Miracle
what
Whip
do we
is
have
gross.
up first, JL?
Sir Cab says you forgot the bacon. There'll be bacon on as many things as we can get them. Yeah. And then, Joshua Lee said, Miracle Whip then? It's like, no. And Fred Edge says, mayo is good on the right stuff.
Yes, mayo is great when it's in the trash can.
Aaron Reese says, it's just egg semen, Johnny. It goes good on hot dogs.
Oh, my God. Why would you do that to yourself?
Oh, before we jump in, Leanne Richer has, I think it's Richer, correct? Leanne Richer says, can you tell me what is with all the films in the community tab? Are they posted there so we watch them during the week and then discuss them during the next podcast? Yes. At the end of every episode, the posters that we put up for the next week, they will go up into the community. They're scheduled right now. So towards the end of this show, next week's posters will go up in the community tab so you know what films we're going to be talking about so that you could watch them ahead of time. You have a week to watch the 4 of them. And then, of course, if you want to chime in the live chat, that's what we love. That's why we want to put them up there so people know what we're going to talk about. And, of course, they can engage with this when they watch them themselves. So, absolutely, that's what those are there for. Sandy Johnson says it's good on French fries.
Fuck. No, it's not. It's not.
And then Joshua Lee says, I'm curious now. So what do you use on sandwiches, Johnny-O?
Mustard, like every other red-blooded American.
What about just mustard? What about mustard and mayo?
Oh, fuck.
So that the mayo gets a kind of like yellow tint to it.
Yeah.
I also like spicy mayonnaise by mixing in sriracha with the mayonnaise.
Oh, that's just a bloody tampon. Fucking gross.
You have no idea how many people you just broke their minds right there. They're not going to be able to do it anymore. They're going to go, fucking Johnny O. They're going to be like having that midnight sandwich. They're going to be like, I'm going to make my mayonnaise spicy tonight and be like, oh, I can't. Yeah. That fucking asshole. Unsubscribe.
Here's the thing. I'll tell you everybody this. Eat what you like. That's fine. I just can't do it.
Aaron Reese says, did you know you can deep fry mayo?
Yeah, you can deep fry fucking butter too, but why would you want to?
And Denova says mayo with pickles.
Okay, first movie. Talk about things that aren't a treat.
This is a beautiful conversation. There being only 2 people here, we have the time, so we don't get we can actually digress on these kinds of things. I hope that y'all. Oh, Rodent the last name. Good to see you, Gabba Gabba Rodent. Scotch eggs. I haven't had Scotch eggs in forever. Oh yes, I need to make some of those because they're so easy to make. Scotch eggs are so damn good.
Like a half a boiled egg. No, that's not Scotch egg.
No, Scotch egg is the one with the pork and the breaded pork and everything, and then you encase a hard boiled egg in it and then fry it, and then Scotch eggs are amazing.
I'm not afraid of it.
I think you are.
I'm not afraid of it.
Oh, so it's kind of like Smoking Aces 2 for you. Like, I'm not afraid of the little people. I'm just very mindful of their movements. I'm not afraid of them. No. I'm just very mindful of where the mayonnaise is. It's creeping up on you like the stuff.
Really, like my in-laws, they like to try and sneak it into me, and they never can. Right? Like, oh, check this out. Oh, try this. Nope, it's got mayonnaise in it. How can you tell? I fucking smell it.
I guess it's his fucking kryptonite. Skitch Crasher's here. It says, hello, Johnny O and HL, or JL, obviously, but thank you. It's good to see you, Skitch Crasher. Thanks so much for being here. Aaron Reese brings up tartar sauce. Oh, yeah, tartar sauce. And then, what was this? Rodent the last name has I think the end on this was, this just means there is more mayo for the rest of us.
Exactly. You guys enjoy all the mayo you want.
Oh, we will. We will.
I will not.
And no one will ever come to your home late at night and throw mayo at your house.
I hope you wouldn't do that because that shit will feel pain.
just like fucking mayo. There's fucking mayonnaise everywhere. Oh, you have one of those moments where you wake up in the middle of the night, one of your children are like, oh, Mayo, it's over you while you sleep. I'm giving them ideas, aren't I?
Yes.
Yes, I am. Okay. All right, so what do you say we jump into our... I could keep going on this, but Johnny's correct. We got to jump into the movies. Right, so, Johnny, what do we have up first?
Oh, you put this first one on me?
Rodent says, some have gaydar, you have Madar. This is, I guess it's a horror conversation because Johnny finds it horrific. So,
Genovis says, now I have a new plan for prank. Now all I need is a plane ticket.
It's a plane ticket. Make it happen. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Hey, NA, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here, bud. One of our amazing supporters. Oh, someone should replace your toothpaste with mayo.
Oh, that'll be no. Because I'll smell it.
It's like no, you're just like,
I'm never that tired. I promise you, I'm never that tired. Like somebody tried sneaking in on me once. I forget what they didn't do it on purpose, but they're like, oh, here, have this, whatever the fuck it was, and I was hungover as shit. And they're like, here, eat this, and I picked it up and looked at it and smelled. I said, no, it's got mayo. I'm good. I'll deal with the hangover.
Aaron Reese says, if Johnny's house gets covered in condoms full of mayo, it wasn't him.
Don't forget, Aaron Reese. I know where you live too, buddy. Anyway, so we've got a real treat for you.
The live chat is just going fucking.
Oh, yeah.
This is literally was already a horror script. This is Johnny's stuff. This is the stuff for Johnny, and he's like fucking Michael Moriarty running around being, don't eat it, don't eat it. Everyone's like, it's good. It's so tasty. Tastes sweet.
Kind of salty, like cinnamon.
Hey, Ida Pip Udaho, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here.
All right,
so, take it.
As I was saying, we have a real treat for you.
Yes, we do. I see what you did there.
We are talking about Venomous, the 2001, of course, direct-to-video disaster horror film. Roll that interesting trailer footage. Oh yeah, I guess you could label these. By the way, you could change them up, and whenever you add them, you could like, this is the Venom trailer. This is.
I've already seen them all, so I know which ones they are by.
You gonna make it, Doc? I don't know. An infected person is contagious within minutes.
An outbreak no one understands.
What is happening?
Becomes a catastrophe everyone fears.
They think this virus is spread by snake bite.
Oh, man. That means we'll have to burn this town to the ground.
Treat Williams.
Fucking A!
That right there, man. Is, are we watching a fucking horror movie or the next fucking action-packed blockbuster, baby? Yeah. All right, so Venomous, again, 2001 direct-to-video disaster horror film, directed by Fred Olin Ray, starring Treat Williams, Mary Page Keller, Hans Janicki, and so many other folks. This is kind of a weird one. The older brother from Back to the Future was in this one. I can't remember his name. Doesn't matter. Mark McClure has his name. Anyway, 1991, a group of Iraqi commandos penetrate a secret American government lab, releasing genetically modified rattlesnakes. Why is it always got to be snakes?
Why does it have to be nice? Why does it have to be snakes?
Yeah.
It's rattlers with a twist. Thank you. It's a shamalama ding dong. They shamalama ding dong rattlers. They absolutely did. Angel Rivera
definitely did. Anyway, so yeah, you've got Treat Williams, who plays a doctor at a hospital who deals with a fucking virus that's transmitted by snake bites, because that's a real thing.
Yeah, it's like this weird kind of like hammer. Obviously, it's government. It's the nefarious government up to no good, utilizing, creating biological weapons, and then just letting the biological weapons escape. Or actually, I think it was terrorists that actually let them escape because the terrorists gained access to the lab, and a horror film disaster. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yep. And this particular one, I mean, obviously, there's not much. It's one of those. This was one of those ones in the early 2000s where there was kind of like the spate of disaster horrors, because 2000 like in the early 2000s there was kind of a trend of releasing direct to DVD, just quick flash in the pan, action style horror films that typically centered around phobias of that regard. They were really easy to make, and they could be made on the cheap and made really fast, and they could be just thrown out there to somebody. Oh, look at this poster of this snake coming at the viewer. Yeah, I mean, if you don't like snakes, or if you're scared of snakes, or if you like snakes, you may want to check it out and see what it's about. But these typically were written very quickly, direct, shot very fast, put out cheap, and then it just to kind of make some money back. Typically within the area time like this one, back in the 2000s, things have kind of changed a bit. But back around this time, in between September and I would say actually in between August and November. Until we get into the winter months, which is where we get all of our Christmas stuff. But this was kind of the dump season. So in the dump season, you would see a proliferation of these kind of like very cheaply done, phobia-centric, like little quick subjects we can jump on. People are scared of rats, people are scared of snakes, people are scared of bats. Whatever you could think of, they would drop it into the dump area where studios don't have big tentpole movies.
Right. Yeah. It's not terrible, right? They actually use practical effects, which is cool.
A lot of real snakes in this one.
A lot of real snakes in this one. The fake snakes they're like obviously fake, but it's so few and far between that it's not super distracting. Like when you see it, like, oh, okay, that was a fake snake, obviously. But yeah, they use a lot of real rattlesnakes. So the snake wranglers had their hands full, and they decided to take Outbreak and mix it in with snakes.
Well, because snakes are inherently scarier than a rhesus monkey. They're just like the Marcel from Friends is not as terrifying. It's not as terrifying as an Eastern Diamondback rattler. So
right, yeah, that little monkey's so cute.
He was very cute, which is why it was so bad. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, the snakes run around and they bite people, and they wind up coming down with some form of like the mutated version of like Ebola, some hemorrhagic fever that they wind up bleeding out from, and of course it essentially turns into it turns into Outbreak. It even has the moment where the doctor accidentally stabs herself. So, oh no, I'm infected and I'm the doctor doing the research. Yeah. What can we do? And so
because miraculously. Right, so here's the thing. This is the thing that kills me about this. It's so fucking unbelievable. Even with it, remember how we talk about suspension of disbelief? Like, I can do that so long as everything that you build in your world works within your world. The second it doesn't work within your world, that's when suspension of disbelief just goes out to be like, this is stupid, right? So in this world that they've built, they have a dog who gets bit and licks her owner's face. Owner's dead in 2 days.
Yeah.
From a dog lick after the dog was bit. Okay. And then there's another one where a guy gets bit on the hand and he's dead in 2 days. Everybody's dying. It's like boom, boom, dead. She stabbed herself, infects herself, and she's alive for how long? A lot longer than 2 fucking days. So
she was for a minute. Yeah, absolutely.
This vaccine, this wonder vaccine that works instantly.
That's right. So we just need the venom so we can derive the antibody so that we're good to go. We're solid. And then Josh Willie says, I'm tired of these motherfucking snakes in my motherfucking lab. Absolutely. Exactly. Genova28 says, best snake movie. Absolutely. I have to agree. Was actually pretty good. Angel Rivera says, Venomous meets The Stand. Yes. Kind of, yeah. And Travis Brown says, imagine this is a remake, but with snakes carrying COVID. 40% would die for it because they would deny the snakes had it.
Yeah, there's no such thing as snakes. Snakes are fake.
Antonio Regime says, what about Sumatran rat monkeys? That's an even worse one. That would be, that would say it. But we have, I think it was, I can't remember. What the heck was his name? Oh, I forgot. Leonard? I can't remember. But the hero of Dead Alive, of Brain Dead.
Oh.
So the big thing about this one, the reason I wanted to chat about it is because we haven't had an opportunity to talk about it much, and that is the kind of legend that is Fred Olin Ray. So this particular film, even though even though it stars Treat Williams, and everybody here at Week in Horror loves Treat Williams. You know, we loved him as the substitute, and we loved him on, I think it was...
not the substitute. It's Tom Berenger.
He was the substitute.
There's only one substitute. All those other movies that came after the substitute, you might as well call him like the detention hall monitor.
Okay, he was the dad in Everwood, okay? We all grew up watching him as the dad in Everwood, and of course, he was also in Once Upon a Time in America and Prince of the City. So we love Treat Williams here, but this wasn't really about that, because this is one of those movies that you could pick up on the fly, shoot it real quick, lines are easy to memorize, nothing overly complex, and then you can just get your paycheck. The big thing on here was Fred Olin Ray, which a lot of people may not know. They may not be familiar with that name, and that's why I wanted to kind of chat about him, because Fred Olin Ray is one of the most prolific horror, low budget to medium budget filmmakers in the history of the genre, with over 200 films to his name. This is the guy.
I can memorize his filmography. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So Fred Ray has. I think he got his start back in the 80s. Shooting on budgets, in the 70s, but shooting on budgets of I think the first thing he did was he produced a film on a budget of $298.
That was Death Farm Massacre is his first official credit. That was 1970.
Well, he directed The Brain Leeches in 1978 for less than $300. And then he went on, he's a writer, he's a director, he's done all kinds of stuff. He's pretty much done everything around the camera, but he's been going strong. And Ray is an example of how you can forge a career in this industry consistently, professionally, and you keep churning them out to the quality that people will keep enjoying them, but you may not know his name. He's just one of those those individuals who is always there. Yeah. And so he has a long and storied filmography. There's no way we could possibly mention all of them.
But one we're going to mention one right now that I think is the most hilarious title of any one of the. It's almost as hilarious as nude nuns with guns out of Mexico.
Bikini Jones and the Temple of Eros?
No.
That was one of his that were back in 2000.
Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers.
Yes! He has so many, and of course he's not only known for horror. He's also known for sci-fi. He's known for sexploitation, for exploitation films. He pretty much does anything: adventure, comedy, drama. He's worked in every single genre imaginable, every single subgenre. But he's predominantly known for his sci-fi and his horror films. And they typically, he knows what works. He knows what works in a horror film. He knows what works in what makes sci-fi work. You need good monsters. You need titties. You need blood, and you need there's little trappings of here and there. And he's forged a magnificent career.
I'd have to go back to Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. Did you see the log line for it?
I did not. What was it?
They charge an arm and a leg.
That is fucking brilliant. That is brilliant. Rodell Sam says, but he's no Roger Corman. Just saying. It's true. He's no Roger Corman. Yeah. But then again, he has made more movies than Roger Corman. And he has worked steadily every year. There's no real gaps in his filmography. Ever since 1971 to 2022, he has put out films anywhere from 1 to 5. Depending upon it, he typically puts out about 3 a year. Consistently, in 2018, he had 5 alone, and
there was one year we had 15, 97.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he had 7 in 2012. Holy shit! And 2004, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in 2004.
11 in 97. He had 11 of them in 97.
God.
Now some of those are producer roles only. No, I'm sorry. Every last one of them he either directed and acted, produced and directed. One of the combination of the 3: director, producer, actor.
He knows what he likes and he knows what works. And that's what I kind of dug about this one. The reason that a movie like Venomous, And yes, he really does love bikinis. He works bikinis big time. The reason, and some of them, a lot of them were straight to VHS, a lot of them were straight to DVD because that's the easy way to do it. Don't pay the theaters the money that you don't put out money you'll lose in the theaters to movies that nobody's going to want, especially when you're trying to fight against studio pictures. Just drop them to home release. And now with the advent of streaming, he can just go straight to the platforms and his movies will run there. Have them rent for $1.99, you're good to go. And so I think even the reason Venomous is as palatable as it is, because there are movies that are along the same vein that are absolutely atrocious, where things that either the sound is off or the acting is terrible, the writing is completely lazy, or something is wrong in the production, where you can see where they just didn't know how to get done what they were trying to get done. Ray is one of those individuals who consistently knows what works, how to market it, how to shoot it, how to portray it, how to write it, and has consistently done it all these years. And so that right there, if there's anything you could learn from watching his movies, is you can see how you can forge a career, you can make a career doing low budget to medium budget non-studio pictures and just regularly put them out. And then they see the returns on them, then each one just leads to the next. And that's how you forge a career. Right. You make the money off of one film to make the next film, so on and so forth. And your life becomes a roadmap of classic B to Z horror.
Fuck. Yeah. My goodness. I want to say that, here's the thing. Venomous is actually one of the better entries into his filmography. Is it because of Treat Williams? Maybe. I'm not a huge Treat Williams fan.
Well, he can secure. He can. I'm not polishing this turd. And Venomous was not necessarily a turd. It wasn't.
It's not terrible. It's just not good, right?
It's just not stellar. It's just For those who are really, really afraid of snakes, they would be scared of this movie because there's a lot of a shit ton of legitimate live rattlers that are used in this thing.
Yeah,
like lots of them. In fact, you've got Treat Williams himself doing a scene where he's got the snake boots on as he's physically interacting with a nest of the motherfuckers. So so there may be some things that are scary for some people in this movie. The big point on this one, it wasn't great. It wasn't, we've definitely seen, the bar is low, but we've seen way worse than this one. This is just your garden variety, very, very competent film. A guy who knows his cameras, knows his actors, knows his script, knows what he wants, and says, we're not going to win movies, we're not going to win awards here, we're going to make enough money so that we can make the next movie, so on and so forth. That's his goal. Make enough to shoot the next one. Make enough to shoot the next one. And then you just keep going. And that's how you turn out. That's how you forge a career. This is what a career in filmmaking looks like. It's not glamorous, and the vast majority of people will never know your name. But man, that is a storied lifetime there. I love this picture on his Wikipedia page of him with the reels.
Yeah,
the
thing about this is, right, everybody who talks about the film business or, I want to make it in Hollywood. He's made it. He's made it his own.
That is, yes.
Right, and whereas we can sit here and shit on his movies and pick them apart, at the end of the day, like if my film career ended up the way his film career ended, I would be perfectly fine with that. Get to Jesus Christ. Thank you. I'm now gay. That's a bad thing. Just I can't get over now. Every time I'm going to see titties, I'm like, oh, there's mayo on them.
Or there's mayo coming out of him.
Oh, stop it! Yeah, frayed edges. That's exactly right. So as long as he's enjoying what he's doing, he's winning. Absolutely.
Right.
And speaking from personal experience, working the corporate jobs, working the telecommunications and all that shit, I fucking hated it. I was miserable. Absolutely miserable doing it. Pay was good. But when I left and started doing filmmaking full time, the pay was roughly the same, but I didn't hate it. I probably worked 3 to 4 times more than I did working with the corporate shit, but I enjoy it. I actually enjoy doing what I do. It's fun to get up and go lug a bunch of gear around and shoot some things and edit some things, put out shorts and work on features. And like JL and I have been working out producing this documentary. It's been a lot of work. JL's handled the pitch deck and he's done a fair bit of work himself. I'm over here fucking writing 4 different budgets, coming up with different fucking shooting schedules, potential this, looking at that. I mean, there's so much on my plate. It keeps me up all hours of the night, but I can't. I would much rather be doing this than.
It's fulfilling.
Yes,
it is, because you feel like you've legitimately accomplished something.
Exactly.
So that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And I got to say, for Ray, that's literally his life. I mean, his life. I think, and you think about the stories that such an individual could tell. One thing that's cool is that he actually is the head of Retro Media, which is a distribution company that releases the DVDs of his own projects. So he handles his distribution as well as his production, which is really, really nice. It's a very cool setup he's managed to procure for himself. But cool things about this one is that he's been an inspiration to so many other independent filmmakers and studio filmmakers who have gone back and seen the way he does things, seen the way he shoots, and said, like, that right there, I want to utilize that. Because I saw that in this one Fred Olen Ray film that I saw back in 1994. And I want to jump on that because it works so well. And then, of course, it's very akin to American Werewolf in London. Is that American Werewolf in London, when you strap the camera to the monster and have the camera followed around and over the shoulder. That's brilliant. And how many people have used that? Olen Ray has done that for so many people. I think one cool thing is he actually loaned a 16mm camera to Quentin Tarantino so he could make My Best Friend's Birthday, which is awesome. Just the individuals he's interacted with. He was also a professional wrestler. He was a pro wrestler that wrestled under the name Fabulous Freddie Valentine.
That's funny.
Which I think is amazing.
That's funny.
So the dude is an absolute legend. And I wanted to I really wanted to talk about him and his contributions to the industry in and of itself, and the things that people he's inspired, and the things he's done. And that this is an example of what being in this industry, because this is not, most people don't know this name. Not involved in scandal.
Right.
Not involved in fucking politics. Not involved in bullshit. Just here to make fucking movies.
Right.
That's it. Natural-born filmmaker right there. And here he is doing it from 1971 to 2022. And who knows what he's going to come up with in 2023.
I'm kind of afraid to ask, but the running list name says you do the blockbuster film, then you do the art film. And that's great. If you get the opportunity to do that, like if I get the opportunity to do the blockbuster film, you damn Skippy, I'm going to do it, right?
Eugene Hawkins says you have to do Thor Ragnarok before you can do Jojo Rabbit.
Right. And again, if Steven Spielberg said, "Hey Johnny, you're going to come direct this movie, but you're going to do it for nothing," like, "Yes, sir, Mr. Spielberg. Absolutely. Yes, I will be doing that, Mr. Spielberg. Would you like me to get your coffee too, Mr. Spielberg?" You goddamn right.
There's no boogers in it. I promise there's no boogers.
Oh, there's no boogers.
There's no boogers in the coffee. The boogers in this? Taste the booger flavor. I'm sorry, I'm a Jay and Silent Bob kick. My bad.
Anyway, but most of us don't get that opportunity. So we make the films we can make, and just hopefully one of them takes off. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. I think all of us. And I see that Eugene has popped into the chat as well. I see him there. And I mean, this is pretty much the career that any one of us could. And hey, Elizabeth Sylvester, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Another one of our big supporters. And absolutely. I think this is kind of the dream career that any one of us could one day hope for. Just to work steadily and regularly in the industry, whether you're acting or producing or writing or directing, doesn't matter. He does it all. Yep. He's a jack of many trades, and he goes out there and he knocks it out of the park every time. Why does he knock it out of the park? Not because he's winning awards, just because every one leads to the next one and to the next one, so on and so forth. So definitely,
it's like Lloyd Kaufman. Lloyd Kaufman hasn't won. He doesn't win a lot of awards. I mean, people love his movies, and he loves making his movies. He did the studio thing one time, and he was like, "Nah, I want to do this shit.
Done.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you get a chance, check out the filmography of Hollywood, I guess, horror and sci-fi legend Fred Olen Ray. Kind of a legend of all genres. The name you never knew, but his movies are out there, over 200 to his name, and he's still going strong. And I'm looking forward to all the cool stuff. I mean, 2022 saw Piranha Women come out, so he's the guy. The shit that he comes up with is just brilliant, and he wrote and directed that bad boy. So I'm looking forward to it. Yes,
I'm ignoring the chat, just by the way. That being said, what I want to know, what is, in your opinion, what is the best animal horror film? We've got Venomous here, which I don't think is going to be the best. So we have anything from Venomous to Snakes on a Plane, Jaws. We've got
pretty much any animal. We got like lions, bears, tigers, sharks, snakes. Spiders.
Spiders, worms.
Worms.
I'm so afraid of fish.
Squirm still gets me to this day.
That.
Squirm is like, worm guy.
Yeah, what was that noise they made when they took him off, right? They sucked him down to eat him. I was like, oh, that's a gross noise.
It was like mayo.
Fuck. Fuck your mother. Anyway, let me know, weekinhorror@gmail.com or in the comments down below in the side chat.
Nice. Travis Brown says The Fly remake, which was particularly gross. Thank you, Cronenberg. And then Sarcasm says Jaws.
Yep.
Freight Edges says Mosquito. There actually was one. There actually was a mosquito.
Swarm.
Yeah. Bees. Yeah. The day. And then Angel Rivera says Anaconda.
You just like it because you saw J-Lo's boobies. That's all.
And Josh Willie said, oh my, for lions, tigers, and bears.
Good job.
Leanne Richards says, I really, really loved Eight-Legged Freaks.
That was a fun one.
Denova28 says Tremors. Nemo813 says, good to see you, Nemo813 says Sharknado. Oh, Aaron Reese, Night of the Lepus. Fucking rabbits. Ivy Gentry said Frogs was my son's favorite. Hell yes. Sam Elliott kicking ass. And then, of course, what was it? Rodin was saying Prophecy. I do like bear horror movies. I do like, because bears are scary. Bears are dangerous.
But you're a bear.
Well, different kind of bear. Different species of bear.
Oh, the animal bear. Sorry.
Right. Well, I'm kind of an animal too, aren't I? Sarcasm says Food of the Gods. Fantastic. And Aries says
every time somebody says Prophecy, I just automatically have Christopher Walken. So I'm like,
that's true. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's another Prophecy. Yeah.
And then Aaron Ray says the killer shrews. Those dogs were terrifying. Yes, they were. They were. So Deadly Eyes, killer rats, and the up close puppets were actually quite scary. Big, huge teeth and blah blah blah, and blood everywhere. But when they were running around, it was so obviously dogs. Yeah. They were like little dachshunds in little rat costumes, and they were so cute. Especially the scene. They did the scene. I can't imagine being the actor on this.
Tails are wagging.
Deadly Eyes. The guy sees them and he freaks out and he runs and he trips and falls down the stairs. And he's trapped. And then they just swarm him. And I'm like, I'm trying to be an actor, being all afraid, and it's just puppies, and they're just like, whoa. And it's like, oh my goodness, I'm dying. So yeah, I thought they were just so adorable. And Leanne Richards says you cannot beat Betty White in Lake Placid.
Fuck no, she was awesome.
She was amazing.
She was so fun.
I hope the alligator eats them all. She was so fucking salty in that movie. Yep. God damn, I loved her so much. All right.
We have a different one. We're going a different direction. A little bit different of a direction there, JL.
We absolutely are. We're going to get a little bit gruesome in this next one. Released November 30th, 2012. We have the sequel, The Collection. Let's check out this trailer.
About my Star Wars collection.
Or is it, I thought it was about. No, we can't.
Don't do
it. we can't use that.
Oh, jeez.
Where is this place anyway?
It's right up here.
Oh, shit got real.
That was bad.
With over 50 people still missing, grieving families are seeking answers.
I'm working for a man whose daughter's gone missing. She's all I have. Find her. Was she alive?
Last time I saw her.
I've got 48 hours before she's dead.
You want to find this guy, you got to start at the beginning. You better be prepared. Bring everything you got. Because if he catches you, he's going to make you wish you were dead.
You gotta help us find Elena. You're the only person to see the inside of this hotel and live.
It's built like a maze, and the whole place is rigged. He's picking us off. One by one.
All right, The Collection. Directed by Marcus Dunstan and written by Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan, the minds behind Saw 4, 5, 6, and 7. And, of course, starring Josh Stewart as Arkin, Emma Fitzpatrick, Lee Tergesen, and Christopher McDonald. So this is the sequel to the Collector, which came out in 2009, and it follows Arkin, Josh Stewart reprises his role as Arkin from the first film, the only survivor of the Collector, and he is hired, or basically conscripted, by this extremely wealthy individual to go into the Collector's hideout to find his kidnapped daughter, who has been recently taken by the Collector for the collection. And of course, as Eugene would so eloquently state it, shit gets very real.
Yeah, I guess it does. Feel like, look, we all know this is what Saw was supposed to be, right? This is supposed to be the Saw story that they were like, nah, we're not going to do it, but we're going to make the movie anyway. We're just not going to tie it into Saw. And
yeah, the original one was the original 2009 was supposed to be The Midnight Man.
Right.
It was supposed to be a Saw prequel, but
yeah,
because I think there was waning interest or politics or whatever, they decided to make it a standalone film, and they created a new slasher that essentially breaks into people's homes, kidnaps them, and then turns their homes into just like torture machine, like a torture palace,
right.
And then it ends up taking one victim with him back for his own personal collection.
Which is just weird.
Yes, this was the big thing. Says my video has been sporadically freezing both trailer and cam, though your audio has been fine. Oh,
yeah.
it may be a connection issue. It's possible. I'm not 100% sure. If the internet blinks, there's not much I can do about that. Because I mean, I'm all green, so I don't know. So there may be some hiccups in the deal, but. We'll try and muddle through. As long as if the audio is solid, that's cool. So the big thing on this one was obviously it's kind of a double-edged sword, because the first one, even though negatively received by critics, it was low enough in budget, it fared well enough, I think, because of the cinematography and the editing, and it had it was tonally much different from the Saw films. There was almost a kind of like macabre poetry to the first Collector, which I think is one of its saving graces. I like the concept of the bad guy, virtually no discernible motive, no face, just this maniac who does these things, but calculating and methodical, and like a spider. That's essentially what he is a spider trapping his victims. So I liked what they did that. I liked the way they shot it. I loved the color. I loved everything they utilized for it. It's kind of in some senses almost minimalistic. Not too extreme. And I dug the sound was fantastic, the way it was done. The serial killer versus the cat burglar. I loved everything about that. The problem with this one is like a double-edged sword. One, if your icon is solid, you have to develop it further to increase the mystique of it. It can't just be mysterious Shadow Man forever. You have to develop it. But that's good, because that means sequel opportunities. We develop our bad guy, make him even scarier, really go into the depth of his psychology. But it's a double-edged sword, because there's always a risk with mythology expanding.
This is okay. So some characters you can do that with, and it's okay. A lot of people didn't like the mythology into Freddy Krueger. They didn't like it into with Nightmare on Elm Street. The first movie was great. We didn't just know that much about Freddy Krueger. We didn't even know a whole lot about his background. Yeah, cool. We got his background. All the relevant information we needed, we got in the first movie.
Vengeful Dream Demon.
That's all we needed.
We're good.
And it worked. And it worked that way for the first 4 films. And then the 5th, 6th, and then it just started kind of like, no, I don't care.
Yeah, it kind of it did the whole kind of like Vengeful Dream Demon, kind of like in creative ways to kill, had kind of run its course by part 4.
Yeah.
And then I honestly think it kind of peaked in Dream Warriors.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then but I kind of dug the nuanced performances and the storytelling in 4.
Yeah.
But then in 5, the Dream Child, and then Freddy's Dead, and then they're trying to expand upon that That's the risk of it. With someone like Freddy, you can get increasingly elaborate kills or increasingly comedic kills. You can lean into the comedy, lean into the gore. There's all kinds of ways you could do that where you kind of increase the terrifying nature of it. And, because it's a dream world, you can do whatever you want and have fun with that and make it as gory or as comedic as humanly possible. The problem with that, but also there's that double-edged sword. You develop your icon, you make him scarier, and you make him more. More people can see how terrifying it is. But the problem is, by expanding the mythology on the thing, you take risks because then you solidify aspects of it. You solidify aspects of the antagonist, and they're no longer imaginative. Now this is set in stone. Now we're getting a foundation to base this thing on, and that's when it becomes. When you start kind of grounding it a little, and that foundation you give it can be an anchor.
Yeah, I don't like that grounding, especially for the collector. He needs to be an enigmatic character that we don't really. Why is he doing what he's doing? I don't know. What does it really matter? Does it really matter? The reason why the collector is doing what he's doing. What difference does it make that this insane, or not insane, but this very calculated killer does the things that he does? Is that the point of the story, or is the point of the story what he does? Obviously
what he does. It's the manner in which what he does and the manner in which he does it.
Exactly.
It makes it scary. And the fact that we go from a house in the first film to now he has this entire abandoned hotel, which by the way was named Hotel Argento, which I thought was just a night. They didn't focus on it. It was just, oh, by the way, it's Argento. Thank you very much for that. But he has his hotel, this kind of murder cast, this H.H. Holmes style kind of thing that he's done, where he's got not only his experiments that he's doing to people, but also the people he's driven insane that are kind of like living in the basement. And that's his base of operation. So we're going to the hideout of the bad guy now. And we see how deep his pathology goes, especially in his trophy room. And the things that he's done there. And we see how extreme it is. But then they really tried to flesh it out and give it a kind of realistic grounding. And I think it took the rug right out from underneath him.
Yeah. I think they did the same. They did the same thing with Saw. The same shit kind of happened, right? Getting into like Saw, was the Saw 4 when they really got into
Jigsaw's backstory.
I was like, I don't care. I don't care that he survived a wreck, and that's what does he? Oh, because I survived this wreck, I'm gonna go start killing people and make them appreciate life. It's so fucking stupid. Like I don't.
With the situation with his ex-wife and the loss of her baby and the clinic. And,
I was like, oh, I don't care. I don't care why he's doing what he's doing. For me, the story should be on what he's doing. And
I dug it with what Saw 2 tried to do, where Saw 2 was expanding the scope of his vision.
Right.
Not the individual himself, but it was kind of like, wow, this is bigger than just the doctor and the photographer.
Right.
This is far larger than that. There's many people involved in this. We begin to see that he is a villain of incredible vision and planning. Great. That's fantastic. But the more you grab, he's the mythical engineer of vengeance, is what he is, or of punishment in that respect.
Right,
and
that makes it far more frightening.
Right, the literal embodiment of the trolley problem. Choose this or choose this, and that's pretty much it. And so that's a very compelling killer. But then you dive into it, and you need to get the traps get more elaborate, obviously, and more extreme. But now he's a human. Exactly. Now he's a human, then he's a cult leader because he's human now. Well, if he's only human, and he's dying of cancer, how the hell could he pull this off? He's got people working for him now. And it just keeps getting more elaborate and just kind of drags it down. The anchor that they use, in the attempt to anchor it, they actually strap an anchor to it, and it sinks the whole damn thing.
Right. I think the same thing happened with the collection.
Right.
It's like, I don't care. I don't care. Like the folk, like Lee Turgeon. He's great, by the way. He's so underrated.
He is, absolutely. I love him in virtually everything I've seen him in.
Yeah, he was great in Oz. He was great in Point Break.
Oh, dude, he was the white supremacist dude in...
He wasn't the white supremacist dude. He was...
No, J.K. Simmons. Sorry, J.K. Simmons was the... That's right. That's right. My bad.
He was J.K. Simmons' bitch.
That's it.
That his whole storyline was... I mean, it got weird towards the end, but it was a really good one. Anyway, I liked him in everything. Everything I've seen him in, I thought he was good. He was great in Wayne's World. A lot of people forgot that he was in fucking Wayne's World.
That's right.
He played the cameraman.
He played the cameraman.
Oh, not the cameraman. He played the. He was on. No, he
no. He wasn't the cameraman.
Board, wasn't he? Oh, he was first AC. 5, 4, 3,
2, And then 3.
Guys, you're nodding. Anyway.
Terry, he was Terry.
Yeah, Terry.
I love you too, man.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, but there's like Christopher McDonald's a waste or Christopher McDonald. Like, come on, you've got good players in roles where you could develop your story around.
Right.
And this, the collector could just be this entity, this faceless shadow that it does all these horrific things. And that to me is more impactful than let's get to know the collector. I don't fucking care. I don't want to know the collector. I want me as an audience member, I want you to protect me from the collector. I don't care how you do it. I don't care why you're doing it. Other than the fact that this guy is trying to hurt the people that I'm supposed to be rooting for.
Right.
I don't want to spend a whole lot of time in the collector.
Right? Tony Regime, to answer your question, Lee Tergesen has been in virtually everything. I mean, you name it. I mean, he's in any television show that was popular at a point. He's been in it. Yes, he was in Criminal Minds. Yeah. He was in CSI. He was in the 4400. He's been on Law and Order and of course Law and Order Criminal Intent and Law and Order Special Victims Unit.
He had to be at SVU because that's where
right.
Christopher Maloney was, and they were butt buddies. And that's terrible.
In Oz.
I didn't mean it that way. They were bunk, whatever. They were in the same fucking show together. Shit.
So he died hard in Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning because he was the dude who was on top of the. I think wasn't he the guy who was on the chainsaw when he was laying on it and he fired it up and brought it up through? Yeah, that was a rough one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's problematic in the respect. I don't think where they had all these other additional characters. They got the super rich dude. They got his daughter who was kidnapped. They've got all these mercenaries that are put together. The only one of which they develop is Lee Tergesen's character. Everybody else is just fucking fodder.
They're fodder, yeah.
Yeah, they're just, and they go down easy. And then, of course, Arkin. But Arkin, the weird thing about this one, this is why it was odd. I think that it wind up pigeonholing them was because Arkin was so well developed in the first film. He's an extremely accomplished cat burglar. He's fantastic at what he does. He's a family man. He loves his daughter. He loves his wife, and he's got this desperate kind of situations. And he can deal with pretty much anybody, good people, normal people or shady people. The guy knows his shit. He was so incredibly well developed as far as character and skill goes. There wasn't really anywhere to take him in this one, so we're kind of Arkin is just kind of there.
He's a plot driver.
He was the plot. He's at that point. He's just driving the Jeep because we can't develop him any further. And then, of course, instead of developing anybody else, we decided to develop the one person that we shouldn't have developed, and that was try to I guess bring a grounding, humanizing element into the collector. And no, he should have remained mythical.
He should have been the face, the nameless face.
Right.
That's the reason why people loved Halloween, because nobody really. Mike, we shit about Michael Myers. What the fuck?
And that's what I dug, and that was also kind of a bummer for me, is because in the original the collector was played by Juan Fernandez, and Juan Fernandez is a character actor that many people may be familiar with. He was one of the killer cult bad guys in that Vin Diesel movie, A Man Apart. So, but Juan Fernandez is really, really good as far as a character actor goes, as far as kind of background stuff. But he was very effective as the collector. The way he moves, the way he's built, and the way he portrayed that in his physicality, because the collector never speaks. I thought he was fantastic. This one, however, was a new actor. It was a different actor who portrayed him, and if I remember correctly, it was Archer. It was Randall Archer played him, and I thought Randall Archer's physicality was just not on par with Fernandez's, because Fernandez understood the mentality of the killer in that this person is insect minded. He's like spider minded, so everything about him is kind of informed by the movement and the tactics of what a spider does in a web. And so that was kind of lost in the recasting, which is kind of a bummer. Lost some of the appeal for me. And then, of course, where it went. But, there was a lot of missteps. It could have been better. I think it could have gone in a way different direction. I like them bringing Josh Stewart back as Arkin. I thought that was great. And, of course, there are some really gnarly...
really quick. It should have been, bring him back to kind of to start the plot. Start the plot, Jeep, and then be like...
Yeah, they pulled a kind of Descent too, bringing the final girl, back into the fold, or back into the lair.
Right.
So, but otherwise, the big thing about this one, kind of bummed me out the most, was there was going to be a third one. There was going to be a third film called, I believe, The Collected.
Yeah.
And we didn't know where it was going to go, and they had actually begun filming it in 2019, but it was kind of interrupted by the pandemic. Yeah. And then shortly after that, it was shelved indefinitely. So that we do know that there was some stuff. They'd actually shot, like, I think 3 days before everything got shut down. And then, unfortunately, they have not come back to it. I know that Dunstan and Melton actually said that after they were able to, after the pandemic, after the initial surge, when they went back to the area where they were shooting, and unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that they had up there that was in storage was stolen.
Oh, fuck.
And so a lot of their equipment and a lot of the various other crap was just missing. And so they were like, crap, so now we're out equipment, we're out this, we have the footage like 3 days, but can we do anything with this? What's everybody do? Where's everybody scheduling? We have no idea. They just shelved it indefinitely. We don't know if we're going to get a third installment in the Collector franchise, which is a shame, because I at least wanted to see where they're going to go with it. Because in the first one, Arkin gets captured and taken away. Shit, what's going to happen? Second one, the Collector gets captured and taken away. Ooh. But what's going to happen in the third one? Where's that one going to go? So I was kind of like, what's going to happen? So that's my question for the audience, for the live chat, and of course for you, if you decide to respond in the comments below. Should Dunstan and Melton come back and finish this trilogy? They started it. Unfortunately, it was interrupted, and they didn't get to do it, and they've shelved it indefinitely. But could they come back and do it? Or could they give us that third one? Should they give us that third one? Or is the collection a good place to end it, with the Collector trapped and captured and obviously going to be, killed by our protagonists? So let us know down in the comments below, or of course in the live chat, or at weekinhorror@gmail.com what you think. Yay to Collector 3, nay to Collector 3. We'd like to hear you.
I don't care. I don't.
You don't care about nothing.
Well, no, it's not that, but the way that the second one went, I was like, I just don't care anymore. Like,
gotcha.
Finish it or don't. If you finish it, I'll probably watch it. If you don't, I'm not gonna lose it. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe you finished it. I wonder what happens next.
Well, Rodent No Less Name says, probably won't be picked back up. Sadly, major studio financial shakeups are impending. I would not doubt that at all. I think
I don't like to hear that.
Yeah.
I don't. But anyway, what do we have next? What are we doing next? I never know.
What do we have next?
What are we doing? I never know.
I don't imagine spending too much time in this one. There's just some interesting stuff here, and I kind of wanted Eugene here. That's why I had him in the script.
Eugene,
because
I know you're in the live chat.
He'd have some insight on this. But we can't talk about it as far as the possession horror goes. There was something interesting about this one. But go ahead, drop it. We'll show the trailer.
Eugene, I know you're in the live chat, buddy. Just hop on up. Don't worry, we'll let you in. Door's open, buddy. All right, so we're talking about the possession of Hannah Grace from 2018, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see this amazing trailer.
In the name of the Holy Spirit.
This job is not for everyone.
Because of the hours?
Because the only co-workers are cadavers.
I heard there were issues.
Yes, there were issues. But I'm much better now.
Welcome to the team.
You're the new girl.
Megan.
Well, I got a weird one for you. Her name is Hannah Grace. And her family was performing an exorcism or something on her.
Dad?
Something went wrong. And she died in the middle of it. You know what they say. If an exorcism isn't completed, evil will find a new vessel.
I believe when you die, you die. End of story.
Then you're up for it?
I can handle it. you die, you die. And when you die, you die.
You've got to focus.
Just breathe. When you die, you die. When you die, you die. When you die, you die. End of story.
Hello? You're just taking a shit, dude. That's fucked up. Ew. Somehow I don't think that's how the cadaver room works. Just going to put that out there.
Yes, Rodnell Abe says that is one spacious morgue.
Yeah.
It absolutely was.
All right, so the possession of Hannah Grace, in some countries it was called cadaver, by the way. So if you're out of the States and you don't know what we're talking about, it's cadaver. 2018 American supernatural horror thriller film directed by Diedrich von Rochen and written by, was it Brian Sieve? Fuck, I get those glasses. They don't learn how to read. Both of those.
That would be Sieve.
Sieve, yeah. Starring Shay Mitchell, Kirby Johnson, Stana Kotick. It looks like Satanic Panic, but
This is Stana Kotick from Castle with
yeah. Gray Damon and Nick Toon follows a former policewoman who encounters a supernatural, the devil, while she's at work as a finds the devil. I don't want you to play with that girl. That girl's a devil.
I was just thinking Vicky Valancourt. Vicky Valancourt is the devil. She is the devil. And people probably say that Denova says the chick looks familiar. Shay Mitchell was on Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah.
So she was one of the 4 girls on that show. So people may remember her from that.
It's an interesting movie. I didn't really like it. Like, the idea is cool, right? You know, because everybody thinks about who works the late shift at the morgue. You know, those people got some fucked up stories. But here's the thing: late shift at the morgue is not quiet. Okay. Hospitals, they don't ever just get down to one person. The morgue never just gets down to one person. The fucking police station never gets down to just one person. It doesn't happen that way. And, well, maybe like
especially in a major metropolitan.
That's what I mean.
Area.
Yeah, maybe it's a rural fucking BFE bullshit, but then you're not going to have somebody working the morgue, the late shift. Just not. Excuse me. Just not going to happen.
Like, essentially, she was just her character is hired is a former cop.
Yep.
Who is hired to do intake? Essentially, when bodies come in, basically the bodies come in, bag and tag, and get them prepped for when the morning crew comes in, so that they can do their jobs. Just get them set, take the fingerprints, and just that's pretty much all she's supposed to be doing. And of course, the fun begins when she breaks the rules. The very first time that comes along was like, "Do not leave the premises." For any reason, and of course the person comes along and she leaves the premises, and that's when it really the fun begins.
Yeah.
Common stutter editing, cheap jump scares, light. Is it in her head or not? I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So it didn't have that. There absolutely was a possession element to this. It's about a girl who was possessed, and then she ends up dying as a result of that in the multiple attempts to exorcise her. And then, of course, the demon that's within her can keep regenerating her. As long as she kills, she can keep getting back up. She's got to be permanently destroyed, essentially. And then what happens is that she lets the priest in, one of the surviving, or no, lets the father in, and the father's in there saying, like, she's killed all these people. Her body's got to be burned. We literally have to just cremate her to get this thing done. Because his daughter is long since gone. So, essentially what it is. And then, of course, obviously it has all the demonic tropes, the physicality stuff, like in Exorcist and every other possession horror film. There's nothing original here. And the acting is so-so. The gore is so-so. The big thing on this one was, obviously, where they shot was actually kind of interesting. I thought where they shot was actually kind of interesting because the building that they shot it was specifically chosen. It was at... Where the hell was that stupid? Okay, so the when you watch this movie, you'll notice that the building itself is very, very strange looking, and it's because of the architecture of the building is called brutalism architecture, and that's why it has that very stark, blocky look. That's almost kind of like oh, I just said block, so it's kind of like blocks sitting upon one another, just like kind of this layered block look. That's very brutal in its depiction. There's nothing soft. It's all edges. It's all hard, and of course, on the inside of the building is very minimalistic. So it's all function and no form is the whole point of it. And so it lent that kind of depending upon your lighting, that lends itself very well to an extraordinarily creepy atmosphere because the spaces are very large. There's a lot of echo, and you can get really, really quiet because there's not a lot of people around. So
vastness, right?
It's the vastness, it's the deep vastness of it, right?
Exactly. You see that a lot in like naturalistic horror, stuff that happens out in the woods, like this huge, vast. Like, where does it end? It's all we see is this big, dark. Where our light ends, that's where our world ends because we can't see anything past there. But we know that stuff lives beyond that. We just don't know what it is. And yeah, Freddie just talks about the cold. Yeah, it brings in that cold kind of feeling. That's one of the things I did like about this movie was the setting, was the use of their stage, of the buildings and whatnot, because that does lend itself to being an extremely creepy scene. Even the church, even the actual exorcism scene, if you look at that church, it's a big open church. It looks great. It sets up very well, but the execution of the movie is just like, okay, it's kind of cookie cutter.
It was. There wasn't much original here. And the big thing about it, and if when you're recognizing certain types of architecture, brutalist architecture, I think is fantastic, especially when you're trying to convey, especially in horror films, or I would say it works really well in sci-fi as well, where where science fiction is all about, meticulous science and structure and logic and reason, all that kind of thing, where aesthetic really doesn't play a role in things. If you're trying to convey a particular idea or a particular emotion or the lack of emotion, brutalist architecture goes extremely well to that. And it was really prevalent in the
look at the Borg.
Right. Yes, very much so.
Fucking cube.
No, there's no aesthetic whatsoever to it. Right. Every piece is a part of the function, and there's nothing there to kind of like lighten things up or soften things or make things aesthetically pleasing. It's all just about what is the purpose of this function, thing,
right?
And so that lent itself very, very well. But otherwise, everything about this was kind of just cookie cutter. It was just one of those possession horrors that came along in the late 2000s. Like, there it is, great, that's fantastic. In the late 2000s. And then, of course, the one thing that I wanted Eugene's take on this one is because this was the very first film that was shot entirely on the Sony Alpha 7S II, and which had not been done before. So it did kind of break ground for that camera, which I thought was intriguing because it's a unique mirrorless camera. Yep. And that also lent itself to the cinematography of this particular movie that worked very well with the architecture and the art direction and the stage design that they went with this. It kind of worked hand in hand. So technically, it's an interesting film.
It really is when you look at it from the technical aspect of it. A lot of people who may or may not, like some people just don't really get into the. They see a Canon is an Icon, is a Sony, is a Red, is a this, is a what. When you look at the actual the usability of all these different pieces of equipment, Sony has by far solidified themselves as one of the, if not the top low light sensor camera.
Right.
And this was kind of the beginning of it. Like, they wanted to be able to make sure. The best run and gun camera you're going to get is going to be a Sony FX7, right? Because it's smaller, lightweight. It's great in the field because of the sensor, the way it deals with light in the sensor, especially low light situations. You can still capture an excellent image with a lot of information to be able to manipulate in post with this camera. A lot of your run and gun guys will use it. A lot of your documentarians will use it. Even some of the horror film buffs will use it. Like the Sony Venice, that's the big dog. That's got an excellent low light. Yeah, exactly what I was saying.
Yeah,
But
mediocre. Wrote in all the names as mediocre writer, mediocre director, mediocre acting, damn fine DP. Yes,
yeah, the director of photography. Yeah, the cinematography of this film really, yeah, and you could tell that whoever the DP was, he knew this camera. He took his time to learn this equipment, to learn this machine, and use it and just really maximize every bit of the capabilities of this camera, which what lends itself to the style of this movie. And visually, it's an excellent looking film. It looks great.
I just wish there was a little bit more depth to it, because it was, like
It was
you said,
very shallow.
It was cookie cutter. It pretty much took everything that we're already familiar with, the kind of graphic physicality depictions of your standard possession film, the kind of creepy head games that the demon plays with people, nothing that we haven't seen before. But the only thing that lends itself to this and why it's kind of interesting is because of the depth that went into constructing the stage that they were playing on. It was a wonderful, it was a beautifully and very creepy place, because yes, as someone stated in the live chat, that Joshua Lee mentions that the morgue where she was working was also in the basement. So everything about it just lends itself to the creep factor. So the environment.
I think he was talking about. I think he's talking about his sister who works in the morgue.
Oh, okay. Well, she in the movie she was also. It was also in the basement of that building as well, because she had to use the elevator to get up to the Bay Area. And so
which really does lend itself, because you're trapped down there, right? You think of all these. No, there's no exit. There's only one exit. That's the elevator that goes up. We all saw what happened when she got in the elevator. We got a proto smile.
So it was kind of a bummer on this one. Other than the fact that it's a really good looking movie, it really didn't. It obviously, you could tell by its performance, it really didn't do that exceptionally well.
It actually did really well compared to its budget in the
box office wise. It did, but critically, I mean,
it almost like septupled its budget.
Yeah, I think the budget was only like, well, I mean, consider how easy this thing was to shoot, and there wasn't a ton of like major special effects,
right?
Just kind of like some post and some makeup.
There's some decent practical effects. We'll give them that. And there was a little bit of like the body movement stuff that they couldn't do physically. There was some they did it well, but again, here this movie, I think there was like $7 million, give or take, and it turned around and made 40 plus. So it did rather well. I mean, well enough. And this is the kind of the point that we keep hammering when talking about horror films. Everybody who is an executive producer or knows an executive producer who wants to find a movie to invest in, horror films make money. They're cheap. They're cheap-ish to do, and they make money. It'd be kind of funny if one of these executive producers had the pocket change to fund a horror film 3, 4, 5
you want so bad. I know
years been talking about for almost 2 years now. You're gonna make money anyway.
I do think they could have done. I think it's an excellent camera for those who are interested. That was the Sony Alpha 7S2 that they utilized. It actually retails pretty cheap for a major filmmaking camera. I think the camera in itself is like only $3,000, and then the packages are they're considerably more than that. If you're going to do
the Sony Alpha, do the 3. Just get to go ahead and bump it up. Or if you're going to do Sony in itself, look at the FX series. It's going to be a little bit more, but still very, very budget friendly when you're talking about actual cinema cameras.
And I think if they had just embraced the narrative a little bit better and maybe try to go and make it their own and do something a little bit different. I mean, the writing was pretty much just, we need a possession horror. Here is your possession horror, whatever. But that's the whole thing about it. Just this wasn't a risk-taking film. It was a movie to drop out when the marketplace was already super slow. It was, it was shot so cheaply that it was pretty much guaranteed to make money. So it was something that anything that that took over 50% was pretty much considered a success by Sony at the time. So, why not? It just, wouldn't expect any substance, but from a filmmaking perspective, some interesting stuff on the back end behind the camera, or, the camera in and of itself. Just the choices that they make. So there's some stuff that you can learn from here as far as, like, how to frame a thing, where to shoot things, and how to really convey a really super creepy atmosphere. Works really well for it.
Yep. And you got to think, right? Movies don't, and Hollywood movies don't make a whole lot of money. When they do make money, Okay, so when we talked earlier about the B-roll or the B-roll, the B horror films, the B to Z's, and the reason why people do them is because you could do something really stupid cheap, turn them over, and make not a lot of money, but you can make your money back and then some, enough to make your next film. That's what again, trauma is trauma because of that very formula. We're going to take one movie, we're going to shoot it as cheap as possible, make it as campy as possible, or whatever style we're going to turn that out. Oh wait, we have enough profit to make. We made our money back. We made enough to make the next movie, and you just keep doing that, and your rate of return goes up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
Sony and Dimension and all these film companies, if they had movies like this one here, like The Possession of Hannah Grace, they would be more willing to open their pocketbooks up. So I guarantee you, Sony would love to only make $49 million or whatever it was, $40 million on a $7 million budget every single time they put out a movie. They would love that shit. The ROI is amazing. That would keep houses together forever.
That's true.
Houses, like production houses. But anyway, seeing as how we're talking about being possessed by the spirit to make a film, let me ask you guys a question. What is your favorite possession horror film? And you can say The Exorcist 3. You can say that. I will allow it. Let me know at weekinhorror. weekinhorror@gmail.com, the side chat, or the comment section down below. Yes, wrote in the last name. Pneumatic nail guns are cheap.
They are cheap. Fred Ed just brings up the problem is there's no guarantee on your investment. So if I was to invest 40 or 50K, there is no guarantee of getting anything back, is there?
I tell you this, on horror films, it is probably one of the easiest, if not the easiest, genre to get into to make money. Now, again, we're not talking like The Mummy with fucking Tom Cruise where they dumped in like almost $100 million. No, we're talking, if you look at like Nightmare on Elm Street, I think that was just shy of $3-4 million in 1983, 84 to shoot and to make. Turned around and made a boatload of money. This year, that was $7 million or so, give or take, that made $40 million. That's an insane amount of money when you're talking about return on your investment. So yeah, throwing $40,000 or $50,000 into the right project, especially if you're in a group of investors and you guys put together the scratch, put together something that you're trying to do with
wow, your audio just went.
my audio. What happened?
There you go. It fixed out. It sounded like you went underwater.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so I'm just saying, yes, this one of the few that you can, the few genres where you don't have to invest a whole lot of money to see a return. All that being said,
right,
we've got one more movie to talk about. JL's
Did you do the CTA?
Yes, I did. That's why people are putting Killdozer, The Last Possession.
Okay, so I apologize. I think it's when your mic went muddy to me. So I didn't hear
it was just you because everybody else was there on it.
That's good. Everybody heard it. Fantastic. I see Fallen, the new film Smile, Evil Dead 2, Last Possession, Killdozer, Maximum Overdrive, Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, the Jack the Ripper episode of TOS. Nice. See a lot of love there. There's a lot of love in there. I have to go with the classic Exorcist. I dug the Exorcist. The Exorcism of Emily Rose pretty good because I like Jennifer Carpenter.
And she did all those moves by herself. That was her. She did. That was no special effects. She could contort her body with the best of them. Like
that was wild. It was intense.
So you gotta give it for that. Imagine dating her, right? And one day she just want to fucking prank your ass. And you hadn't seen the movie, right? You come in, all of a sudden here's this woman that you've been shacked up with for who knows how long. You know, broken bread with, had some nice romantic dinners, just all fucking contorted, all Exorcism of Emily Rose style, and then she opens her mouth and just screams. That's one hell of a way to break up with a motherfucker.
All right, well, we got one more to talk about. What was that? I watched Fallen, Denzel Washington last month, and I loved it because it lined up with some real life experiences. Oh yeah, Fallen was fantastic. One of the rare Denzel horror films. I love that.
It's not a horror film; it's a thriller.
That's a horror film.
Yeah, I know.
It's so a horror. It's absolutely a horror film.
That's a Hollywood thing, man. If you call it a horror film, they're like, nope. But if you call it a thriller film, all of a sudden Denzel's like, yeah, I could do that. What are you doing over there? Who are you talking to? Tell Angela you'll talk to her in a minute.
I'm not. I'm catching up on something. Just leave me alone, man.
But it's your turn to talk.
I know it's my turn to talk. All right, for our final film, and this one, somebody said that I was going to be turd polishing in this one. No, I'm not going to be turd polishing in this one at all. But there is some things to talk about this one. So let's just dive into it without any. I don't want to gild the lily anymore. So released December 3rd, 1978. We have the film Prey.
Cato to command ship.
Command ship.
I am now in orbit.
Proceed with mission.
UFOs, fact or fiction? Space explorers or figments of the mind?
Made contact with human life forms. New identity established.
Are aliens already amongst us?
Command ship. Command ship. Their immediate reaction aggressive. Forced to take terminal action.
Continue with mission.
Why are they here?
Success of total operation essential.
For 1,000,000 years, man was the hunter. Now, he is the prey. Prey. Certificate X.
Wow.
Yes, it's a Certificate X.
Yeah, Predator before Predator was his name.
So, Prey, a British independent science fiction horror film.
What gave that away? Was it the way it
directed by Norman J. Warren and written by Max Cuff, starring Barry Stokes, Gloria Annan, and Sally Faulkner. So the big thing about this one is that the film centers around an alien who goes by the alias Anderson, who in a quest to find a new source of food for his species, encounters a lesbian couple living kind of on the outskirts, like in the middle of nowhere, England, and then in attempting to investigate the situation winds up in a kind of weird triangle with the three of them, and shit begins to quickly devolve as his alien nature and his mission begin to kind of take over. And so as the girls become more increasingly aware of what he is, and he causes strife in between the two of them. So this is first and foremost, the film in and of itself is not that great as far as like how it was shot or the acting in it was pretty intolerable in that respect. But there's some intriguing. There's no relation to the other Prey films out there. Originally, this thing was, I know in some markets was known as Alien Prey, but only shot on a budget of less than £60,000, and it was filmed in under 2 weeks. So, which you can tell, there's not a lot that goes into this. But, of course, the whole thing about this movie are the themes in this and what you derive from this bad boy. Now, obviously, there is a massive anti-LGBTQ metaphor running throughout this film. The idea that there's the constant theme of the lesbians are living on the outskirts of society because no one really accepts them. They've driven them to the outskirts, and that's where they can find their happiness, is being away from normal society. And then, of course, every time one of them goes into town, they get judged, they get ridiculed, they can't have relationships, even normal social relationships with anybody because of the relationship they choose to be in. And so, at the time, in the late 70s, it was kind of that mentality. They generally, especially in England, there was this kind of anti-gay, or this kind of don't ask, don't tell. We don't talk about it, and we don't really like to address the thing that the possibility that it exists. We know these people there, but we don't really want them a part of our community. So they were driven out, and kind of left to fend for themselves. And there was also this idea about women in general. So this is kind of double on the nose. This is both deeply anti-LGBTQ and deeply misogynistic in that respect, because the women are not only lesbians, but they're also vegetarians. And so then you have the alien that shows up who is decidedly carnivorous. And so it's the man, takes the form of a human man who comes in, destabilizes the lesbian relationship, and they're vegetarians. He upsets them with his carnivorous, conquering kind of like deal, and it's kind of like brutish mentality because he doesn't know I don't know human customs. And so ends up destabilizing everything. Everything falls apart because of how it is. So essentially, the modern man is the answer to, or the solution to, in this kind of film's eyes, the lesbian problem. So that's why I say this film is also misogynistic, because while it's anti-LGBTQ, that straight is the more powerful and the more
It seemed to focus on the lesbian aspect.
Exactly, the lesbian axis was more of a focus. So therefore, I call this one deeply misogynistic in that respect. Not to mention the way sex is depicted in the film as something not of intimacy, but of like violence, and the way the carnivore is essentially hunting the vegetarian lesbian, that they are the prey because they are the herbivores, he is the carnivore.
It's kind of a weird, well, not a weird, but it's all, you can see the connection, like man versus cow, because that's what we eat cattle, right?
Right.
Heifers specifically, they're vegans, darn cattles. But you see the metaphor, the allegory there.
Right.
I hope I'm not the only one who sees that. No, Johnny does not think women are heifers, okay?
That was the thing that really that kind of got me on this one, is just that this film is an excellent depiction of cultural time, of the cultures at the time, especially the cultures in the UK. Is that they obviously there were similar problems in America at the time.
Well, you got to remember that this was only 20 years removed from that PSA from the 50s called The Homosexual. I mean,
yes.
You gotta, so there was still a lot of that shit going on, not just, all over the place, right? And it's interesting how we see that reflected in cinema.
I found it to be really, really odd. Obviously very, very experimental. There was a lot of things that were done just kind of, you could tell that they were just kind of like, they had an idea of what they were shooting, of what they were going for, and it was kind of like, let's kind of like feel this out as far as a filmmaking process goes, which is why it really only took 10 days to make. But yeah, the big thing on this one is what they're trying, is obviously what they were trying to convey in it. And I think it's an excellent little benchmark to see not only where we were, but obviously how far we have come as far as depictions of LGBTQ characters, of the male-female relationships, and how women at a time were viewed in a certain capacity, like especially in the UK. That's why it's odd. It plays with this. It plays with this notion of the dangerous female sexuality, the threat of the sexual female, the female that doesn't need sex from a man.
That trope goes back. It goes back like fucking centuries.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's female sexuality specifically, but yeah.
Whether bisexual or lesbian or unstable or jealous because we see the instability in the relationship, because the man shows up and all of a sudden the more dominant one in the relationship becomes angrier and unstable and jealous, and then of course there's this weird triangle going on between those, like the man shows up and all of a sudden they're bisexual, which is odd. And then by the end of it, the younger girl is to be like, I'm out of here and I'm gonna go with him and we're gonna leave, and then winds up in this graphic scene where they wind up having sex, and then he winds up eating her, and then because throughout the movie he keeps eating different things, trying to determine what's best, and then he finds out humans are the best because they're high in protein, and they're tasty, and they're all over the place, and they're prone to destabilization because they're prone to their feelings, and they'll fall apart. It's fantastic. So come on down, let's have a smorgasbord. It's pretty much where it comes down to.
Smorgasbord of lesbians.
Yes, pretty much. The weird gay alien zombie vampire gore fest is essentially what the film was. I dug it for its experimental nature, trying to really talk about something that people really didn't want to talk about, which is what horror does. It's what it's meant to do. But I think there was some really gross stuff that came through. So many themes of sexism, of love, adultery, betrayal, racism, all of it is prevalent throughout this. And of course, evoked by the kind of UK mentality at the time. The way that the environment was kind of like the mythical English past, and how the girls kind of live in this kind of like separated little enclave that is just, kind of like lost to time and everything, in their own little castle.
Right.
And then here comes the outsider. You just goes to like, Brave New World, where the outsider comes in and destabilizes everything. So
maybe we're looking at this through the wrong lens. Because think about it. Think about it for a second, right? Mm-hmm. What does happen to what does happen to the lesbians when they allow male influence? Maybe this is actually a pro LGBTQ movie. Don't let the dicks in, because if you do, they're just going to eat you.
I think it's a bit of a stretch. I think it's a bit of a stretch, I guess.
But I guess it's interesting to look at it from that. It's kind of like,
I guess one man's trash, another man's treasure. I guess as you can,
or just one man like letting men in is trash. Don't do it, right? Like maybe this is lesbians saying, "Hey, look, don't let the men in, because if you do, they're just gonna fuck your shit up."
Let me see. Hang on a second.
I'm not saying it's what it
Directed by a guy, written by a guy, story by a guy. No, I don't think that. I don't think that's what they were going for. I think that I think the notion of like the gender restoration at any cost.
I agree.
Was kind of like what was going on in this film, and. I know that a number of individuals, because of the themes of the film, as far as it goes, it's literally just an alien shows up, encounters some lesbians, eats all the wildlife, eats their bird, and eventually just figures out, I can eat humans, and this is great. That's pretty much what the film is about. Yeah. With some fairly graphic, not as far as like pornographic, but it's some fairly graphic. Depictions of violent sex, and then of course when he eats the one girl and all that stuff. But
either way, they're not very good because
it wasn't subtle. Like Rodent Last Name says, it was not subtle at all. And it's
buried a body, but they forgot to bury the hand. Come on, guys. You're supposed to be a superior alien species. Have conquered the quest of intergalactic space travel. Yet you can't continue to bury the hand.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, so I would, as far as recommending it, I mean, if you look at it as kind of like a milestone in horror history, the changing sensibilities as we've moved from culture to culture to culture, and how things have evolved over time, you can kind of see where we were at. It's always a little surprise. It's always kind of like disconcerting. We know it's there, but when we go back and we watch a movie from the 50s and the 60s, and how misogynistic some guys were, but that was the norm. It was just like, you like slap her. Like when we were talking about Blood of Dracula. Okay, we were talking about Blood of Dracula, when it's like the opening sequence is literally the girl's in the back and she's unstable and she tries to drive the car off the road. The dad's like, and he just slaps her in the face, and then we're all going to smoke a cigarette.
Yeah, right.
So it's like it was just. Obviously, we could say it was different times, but obviously things have changed since then. It was always weird watching one of those old films and seeing a guy, like in Beginning of the End, where we have a dude who's in charge who doesn't put down the female. She's a strong female. He stands up for her when other guys treat her badly. That was so weird at the time, because more often than not, they're putting women in their place, or telling them what to do, or being like that one Rattlers. It was deeply misogynistic. It's kind of like, shut up, bitch. You don't know what you're talking about. Oh, okay. I'm just a herpetologist who's been studying this for years. Shut up, woman.
Shut up, woman.
And then she's like,
I work down at the Dairy Queen. I know more about this than you do.
And she just acquiesces, like, I understand.
Oh, you're right. Yes.
And then by the end of it, we're in love now. Yes, right. I've loved you since the beginning. So it's just so cringe. But yeah, this one kind of did it too. It was it's weird. It will make some people very uncomfortable with its depiction, with what it's trying to say, with the very non-subtle metaphors throughout this whole thing. Yeah. I know that some of them made me kind of uncomfortable. Just kind of seeing it's like, that's not right. That's not kosher. It doesn't fly nowadays.
There was no Jewish priest here blessing that food.
There was not. These weren't prepared. This was not prepared in the appropriate manner. It is not clean. Absolutely. Josh Lee says, but did the alien put mayo on the human before he ate her? No, he didn't. He ate her raw.
Yeah.
Oh. Did I go too far with that one? Did I? Because he did. He actually did.
Yeah,
Raw
you
human.
said, I'm going to eat this live raw, by the way.
Live, raw, and wriggling. Frayed Edge says there is so many cultural undertones that we might not know about now. It's hard without a time machine. Films like this are our time
They're
machine.
your time machine, yeah.
They are. They absolutely are. So, but I gotta ask. I want to ask the audience. Given the prevalence of alien horror, especially through the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, post World War II, alien horror became a thing. Whether they're coming here to eat us, or coming here to kill us all, or coming here to study us, or whatever. Whether they're whether they're tripods, or they're robots, or they're carnivorous
Did
men.
you say tripods? Like
War of the Worlds.
Like they got a big ding-a-ling? And...
No, like they have 3 legs. What the fuck, dude? And so let us know, what is your favorite, or what is the best evil alien horror film? What is the best of all the evil alien horror films out there? What is the best, in your personal opinion? Let us know down in the live chat, of course, in the comments below, or at weekinhorror@gmail.com.
It's a very tough question.
That is a hard question. And it's, I want to hear people's opinions of this. Not what their the favorite is, what the best is. Because there's so many. I think it's Dolph Lundgren's I Come in Peace.
Oh, I remember that one. I Come in Peace.
I come in peace. You go in pieces. Yes. Oh, that's such brilliant.
Oh,
that is almost as good as Demolition Man one-liners. You're on TV. I fucking love that.
Such a good movie. It did not get the praise at the time.
It did not.
That it so deserved.
You're on TV.
Yeah.
I've been dreaming about killing you for 40 years. Well, keep dreaming.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? But anyway,
this is objectively true.
The Thing, yeah, absolutely. I would side with The Thing as well. I think everybody knew that as well. Predator was solid. Thank you, Joshua Lee. Earth Girls Are Easy from NANA. Nice. So so Alien, Ivy Gentry, Alien.
See,
absolutely. There's many.
And sarcasm and they like, man, Predator, The Thing, and Alien. Jeez.
Yeah, Starship Troopers, The Arachnids. Ooh, Last Starfighter. Last Starfighter has some good ones in it. Oh, you know what? The bad guys in fucking Galaxy Quest were good too, but that's not a horror movie.
Yeah.
But I loved those
What
aliens.
about V? V was great.
V was great, yes.
Both film and TV series.
Good stuff. Ooh, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Thank you, Leanne Richard. Yes, absolutely. Ooh.
There's an objective answer to this.
Mm-hmm. Tony Regime, Mars Attacks.
Yep.
I fucking love that sequence. And of course, Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. There's a lot of love for The Thing, which just happens to be
right there. District 9. Not technically a horror film. Well, it had some horrific elements, but I think more of a sci-fi thriller.
Okay, we have to acknowledge that thriller is just another word for horror.
Okay, yeah. Ooh, Slither. James Gunn, Nathan Fillion.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it, but
Michael Rooker.
Michael Rooker, who played Grant. That's his name. Grant. First and last name.
Grant.
And what's her name?
God, he was gross. And Elizabeth Banks. God, he was gross. It was so nasty. That was a gross one.
Yeah.
All right. So, but definitely let us know down in the comments below or at weekinhorror@gmail.com what is the best evil alien horror. So, Johnny, it is that time. It is trivia time.
We're
going to give away another mystery item, because those have been actually pretty popular and successful. So we're going to give another mystery item away from the store. Some of the new stuff that we've put on the store. If you haven't checked it out yet, the Teespring link down in the description. We have some new stuff that we've put up there, so go and check it out. Yep. All kinds of cool things. Drinkwares, stickers, clothing, all kinds of stuff.
Pasties. Wait.
What?
What?
I didn't say it. What? Huh? Anyway, so the first person to get the correct answer to this trivia question in the live chat will win a mystery item from the Week in Horror store. I love giving away these mystery items.
Yeah, it's
it
fun.
Puts kind of a
thing.
It puts a thing on it. Puts a thing on it.
Yeah, puts a thing on.
Puts the thing on it. All right. Do you have the live chat pulled up? Do I need to pull it up?
Pull up the live chat.
I will pull up the live chat.
Got it.
2 seconds.
1001, 1002. Got it.
1,002.5. There we go. And
all right.
Oh, gotta make sure that the audio does come through. I've got it on live. Whenever you're ready, sir.
All right, here we go.
Ooh, Life Force.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, yeah.
More
Hell
Life
yeah.
Force. My goodness. Sorry. Anyway, excuse me. What was the name of the abandoned sequel to Prey? What?
There was going to be a sequel to this.
There's going to be a sequel, unfortunately. But what was the name of the abandoned sequel to Prey? Let us know. First person to get it right wins a mystery box.
What's in the box?
Oh man, we gotta get that. We gotta do that. Make boxes that whenever what's in the box. So great.
Paracord Princess, I saw your answer there. Unfortunately, no, the answer is not Hunter. So first one in the live chat to get it correct.
Denova 28.
Denova 28. Fantastic. Oh, Tony Regime right behind him.
So is NA. No, yeah, my goodness. Very close. Very close.
Oh, B. Blanco, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. All right, that was Denova. Denova 28 has won an official mystery item from the Week in Horror store. Fantastic. We'll get that printed and shipped out to you ASAP. Thank you so much. But yes, the answer was Human Prey, which was going to follow up after the alien was beginning to dominate larger areas of the country, and then how bringing more of his carnivorous brethren and how the human beings who become aware of this would then take them on and try to fight them. But yeah, those plans for that sequel were abandoned, probably for the best.
Probably for the
best.
Not just because the movie, the first one was terrible, but you know.
Right, definitely. All right, so with that, we will bring another episode of Week in Horror to a close. Congratulations to Denova28 for winning the trivia prize, and thank you all so much. Golf clap. And thank you all so very much for joining us. We truly hope you enjoyed tonight's show. Join us next week when we look back at the critically polarizing What Lies Below, an exploration of societal horror in Knives and Skin, the creature feature Death Valley, and the psychological stalker horror of Whispers from a Shallow Grave, which there's no trailer for. I had to post the full film in the trailer section, so you can go and watch it there. It was on Daily Motion.
Whispers from a Shallow. This has got to be foreign film.
No, it's not. It's American.
That's got to be directed by a foreign director then.
For more horror fun, be sure to follow us on all of the socials for the Daily Splatter, your daily horror film recommendation. Remember, we are constantly being stalked by that cruelest of faceless slashers, algorithm, and you can help us defeat it by dropping a comment, liking, subscribing, and smashing that notification bell like a true third act final girl. Joshua Olsen does all of our amazing artwork for the show, and his designs are incredible. Hit his store up at www.badsamurai.store. A massive shout out to all of our amazing patrons who continue to help us make Week in Horror the incredible success that it has become. And if you would like to and are able to support our production here, you can by joining and enjoying the tasty benefits of one of our many Patreon tiers. But if Patreon is not your favorite stocking method, you can always support us directly through our PayPal. Links to all of that, including to our Discord community, where you can hang out with us, watch movies, and do all kinds of cool stuff, are in the description below. And remember, the goal at Week in Horror is global horror domination, and we cannot do it without you, our dear listeners, our amazing fucking audience. So pretty please, with the hopes and dreams of all indie horror lovers everywhere on top, go and share the absolute fuck out of our little show. We love you all so much. Thank you for being the greatest audience a podcast could have. I am JL.
I'm some fat guy,
also known as Johnny O. We will see you all next week, and as always, stay scared.